Hey, and good morning, everybody. This is Sherman Ray. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast. We come to you Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Talks about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas, folks. And I'm your host, Sherman Ray. I'm the publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine. Um, we're a little over a year old now, folks. I know it's pretty exciting. We officially launched in January 2022. But we've been doing the podcast for a little over. We were actually started the podcast before we launched the magazine, so we're actually a little over a year old, and pretty exciting stuff that we're experiencing. I want to welcome all of our friends who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook and all that other good stuff, and we're all over the place. Oh, and also, if you would like to check out just the podcast, just the voice, just the dulcet tones of me, myself, and I. You can actually go to Spotify. We're on Spotify. I think we're on Apple Podcasts, that kind of stuff. Or you can always go to our website at livininvegas.com, and all the links are there. Just livininvegas.com. You can get all of the links. I want to encourage you, if you like the show, if you've been a part of the show for a while, and you've not subscribed to it, little button right here, just it's right there. Just smack it, pop, pop, smack it, and become a subscriber. And what that'll do is it will actually you'll be able to get the updates every time the show comes on. You don't want to miss this show, folks. I've been a long time Vegas, excuse me, Las Vegan, and there are things that we are probably going to bring out that most people won't know because they just don't know. We actually had a show before, and it wasn't even our show, so this is not our show. Somebody else's show. One of the mountains passes that is on the west side of the valley takes you over the hump, the 160. It's the 160, folks, or over the hump to Pahrump, just off to the left of it, as you're going through the mountain pass, is a mountain range, and it's called Potosi. Okay, Potosi, and that's what it's called, Mount Potosi. That's the way it's always been since I was a kid. So one reporter actually said Potosi, and you almost want to just cringe. It's like, my gosh, you live in Las Vegas, you don't even know how to say our landmarks. So here in Las Vegas, we will never say Potosi. We will say Potosi. We will never say Amargosa. We won't say Armagosa. We'll say Amargosa because that's the way we pronounce it. And so we want to encourage you, watch the show on video, pick up the podcast. You won't be sorry. So let's talk about this. Is our midweek. So we're in the midweek. Oh, guess what's happening tomorrow? So we're going to talk about the. Excuse me. I'm going to clear my voice just a second here, folks. Hang on. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to be going over to the Vegas Golden Knights. So we're going to go out to the game. Looking really forward to that. Been putting it off for a while. Usually I'm really busy on Thursdays. I have a band that we lead and stuff like that. So it's band practice on Thursdays. So it's very tough to get to the game during the middle of the week. But my brother-in-law, Chip, bless your heart, give you a bless thing there, has invited my wife and I and a friend to the game. So we're going to go out to the game tomorrow. And I can't wait to get to the game because we've been really putting it off for a long time. Love going to any of the VGK games. The Raiders. I love the Aces. Love going to their games. And of course, UNLV. And if you've been watching the show any length of time, UNLV is our jam. That's who we love. That's who we live by. And so we want to encourage you to watch the show Friday because we'll talk about that. It'll be our Rebel Red Friday. We'll talk about the game that is tomorrow. Excuse me. And so just stay up to date with us. So, anyways, I'm looking really forward to that to the game tomorrow. But we'll talk about the game that was Monday, and you'll love this. You'll love what was going on. So as a matter of fact, speaking about Monday was Martin Luther King birth day that we celebrate Martin Luther King's birth and all this contribution and stuff like that. We did have a lot of rain though. A lot of rain, and not such a. It was not a good Monday, just because there was just so much, just bad weather. But it did not stop the organizers or the people who were a part of it here in Las Vegas. There was tons of stuff still there. Last year, the MLK parade. Do I have that story up here? I'm sure I do. Yeah, there it is. The MLK parade last year was actually held virtually, which is kind of strange how they do that. But they're able to do anything nowadays. That's just the way they are. They can do anything they want. But this year was the first time they've been back. They had drill teams, marching bands, church groups, dignitaries, all that cool stuff were there. Former lawmaker Wendell Williams was out there. It was just big, just really big. And we'll post some of these pictures on our website over at livininvegas.com. livininvegas.com. And you can check it out, folks. It's always cool. I mean, it really is. The Grand Marshal of it, I think, was it Justin? Yeah, he did. He made it. So the Grand Marshal is his 7-year-old kid. His name is Justin. I think I'm going to say Boma is how you pronounce his last name. Boumah. 7 years old. He's an entrepreneur, Grand Marshal, and he started a nonprofit probably when he was 2. That's the way it is, kids. Nowadays, kids, they start nonprofits at 1. It's just the way they are. And so Justin was the Grand Marshal. I remember seeing a story on the local news about the kid. And was he going to become the Grand Marshal? I guess he was. So very cool. Can't wait till, as a matter of fact, next month we have another event. And it's called African Culture and Heritage, something like that. African History and Culture. I got the flyer here someplace. I'll have to bring it up. But it's going to be taught by Bishop Joseph Adiosun. I'm going to screw his name up too. But he is actually a Nigerian guy, Nigerian pastor, who you can barely understand the man. He's going, hello, how you, man? How you doing, man? He's just got one of those voices. Barely understand the guy. But he brings authentic Nigerian perspective on Africa, its African history, the original name of Africa, how it was named, culture, heritage, all that cool stuff. It is very cool. And he and I were talking about this just Sunday. He came to the church. I'm so blessed that I got to be a part of, a little bit of. I'm not a part of the content, folks. I really know very little about Africa. I know a lot about Jamaica, but I know just enough to be dangerous about Africa. And I am Nigerian, excuse me, by way of Jamaica. So I'm Jamaican by way of Nigeria and American, that kind of thing. So I'm a Jamaican Nigerian, if that makes sense. So he and I were talking about the African Americans, Caribbeans, Jamaicans, all these things, and then Africans, and how totally different these groups of people are. And so he's going to bring the whole African experience Saturday, February the 11th, over at Family Worship Center. So I'll tell you more about that a little later, but you can check that out. Anyways, let's do this, folks. We're getting into the show. We want to make sure we pay some bills first. We'll be back in just a minute with a little bit more of the show, folks. This is Sherman Ray for the Livin in Vegas podcast. We'll be back in just a second. Hi, everybody. It's Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast. Are you a business owner that's looking to get the word out about his product, service, or even just a great message out there? Well, we'd like to give you that opportunity by being a guest on Livin in Vegas podcast. It's super simple. All you've got to do is contact us at advertising@livininvegas.com. That's advertising@livininvegas.com, and we'll schedule you for an interview on Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, we are back, folks. This is Sherman Rain. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk to you about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas, folks. And when you think of living in Vegas, folks, think living local and the return of cool. That's right. He's right here, folks. Right there. That's him. That's Sammy Davis Jr. We love Sammy Davis Jr. too. Did you know Sammy Davis Jr. was a avid photographer? Yeah, he was just... I mean, other than just being talented, the guy was just talented all around. He did so many things. He was part of the Rat Pack, and he did so many great things in his life. But one of the things that nobody really knew about was the fact that he was a photographer. Yeah, and not just any old photographer. He was a really good photographer. Let's talk about some things that are going on in Vegas. There was an urgent plea that was issued by Child Haven and the folks that are, overseeing the child care and the foster family system here in Las Vegas. And they're in need of foster families. Yeah, they said, this is really weird. They said that very few foster homes in Clark County are available to specifically take care of babies. It's just kind of a weird thing. They said that it's kind of an anomaly. At Child Haven, there are 30 children under the age of 6 and 16 under the age of 2. And it's been years since this sort of number, they say, according to a spokesperson for Child Haven, said that they've ever had this kind of number. So they're looking for people, and we'll leave the link so that you can actually contact the folks over at Child Haven to be a part of the foster care system. This is really important. I mean, just important because there are just a lot of kids out there that are just kind of roaming around, and they need permanent homes, or they need temporary permanent homes to help them, get back into the to the world. There and many of you heard about this next story. This next story is about Tropicana. Oh yeah, I know a lot of you have already heard about it. You've probably experienced it. It actually started Tropicana. There's an overpass that goes over the I-15, which is basically our major freeway that runs through Las Vegas. Actually, it's the only freeway that runs through Las Vegas. I-15. And where it crosses over Tropicana Boulevard, it evidently is too low for modern standards. And so they want to raise it. Dear Lord, have mercy. And so they call this Drop-A-Cana. Drop-A-Cana. It's not like Tropicana. And so it kicked off Tuesday, and southbound exits onto the southbound exits to Tropicana are closed. Okay, so the southbound exits to Tropicana are, so that means most people who are trying to go to work. So many of you, I know sometimes you could just gloss over this and say, oh, it's just a southbound, No, here's the deal. Most of the people who work in the south end of the strip area get off on either Flamingo or Tropicana. That's really pretty much it. And it's southbound because they're going towards the south end of the valley, and then because most of the people live in the north end of the valley, and they go to the southbound exit to go to Tropicana, and they get off, and they either go to the right, which is to the west, or they go to the left, which is to the east, which is going to the strip. And they closed off the eastbound. Wow, that is bad. So they say that this closure will last days and in some cases months. Oh dear Lord. I've got to go there tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to the game, and the game is actually right off of Tropicana. Oh gosh! So my brother-in-law Chip, who bless his heart, has invited us to the game, said, "Hey, Sherm, you might want to go a little early. You might want to go a little early because it's going to be hell to try to get to where we meet up at to go to the game. The game is at T-Mobile, and T-Mobile Arena is basically, right off of Las Vegas Boulevard and Tropicana." Oh gosh. So So what they're going to be working on this thing is, folks, that Tropicana is going to be, they're going to be working on this for the next 2 years. Yeah, I think it's for the next 2 years. I didn't read the whole story, but I'm pretty sure it's the next 2 years. And people are already complaining. They're already, So let's do this. Let's all have one of those moments where we all just kind of sit back. We just relax. We're not getting upset about this. It is what it is. We live in Las Vegas. We went through a major highway renovation, which widened up the Spaghetti Bowl area, and that lasted basically 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years. It just ended a year ago or something like that, it seemed like. And they worked on that whole area back there between the Spaghetti Bowl and Sahara. They widened out the whole thing, put in new lanes, all this other stuff. And now they're working on the Tropicana overpass. So if we got through, the big, highway renovation, we can get through this for 2 more years. Yeah, I know. Wow. So many of you have heard of this already before, and we never thought things like this would actually happen in Las Vegas, but yes, it is. North Las Vegas is proposing to remove citizenship requirements to become Nevada police officers. I'm going to repeat this. North Las Vegas, who just got in a new mayor, and the legislature, which oversees everything, North Las Vegas has proposed removing a U.S. citizenship requirement for becoming a law enforcement officer in Nevada. So this is Assembly Bill 30 in the upcoming Nevada legislature, and they're going to try to push this through, folks. And we heard about this, I don't know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that they were going to do this in like New York, or they're going to do it in some other state or something like that. And we're thinking, oh, those yahoos, are they just stupid or what? Letting people who are not even U.S. citizens become police officers? Are you kidding me? Well, it's here now. And it's not just here, it's here in Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, which means you could possibly have somebody who has no citizenship of this country telling you, a citizen, what to do, empowered by our government to tell you what to do. Somebody who's not even a U.S. citizen. Boy, can I do a poll right now? I can do a poll. Sure I can. I'm going to do a poll, and can I do a poll? Let's see. I'm going to try to do it. I was going to do a poll on our... no, we won't do it. The question would have been, do you agree that a non-citizen should become a police officer, should be allowed to be a police officer, or be able to vote in the United States? I can almost guarantee you that most people will say, oh, heck no. No, 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 no. I just think it's a bad idea. It's just me. Okay. All right. I personally think it's a bad idea, and I just don't know why we're gonna go there. But that's in North Las Vegas. Once again, Assembly Bill 30. And here's the problem with that: is the Democrat-controlled Senate or Assembly will probably pass this, and they almost have a supermajority in the Senate, so it will probably pass. I don't know if it's a state constitution thing, but I could check. Okay, let's move on to something else. Clark County School District. A rezoning proposal could force some students to attend a different school. Ouch. So here's what's going on: is the CCSD Attendance Zone Advisory Commission is discussing potentially rezoning and some school boundary lines. And because we have overcrowding, we have the 5th largest school district in the nation here in Las Vegas. Clark County School District is the 5th largest in the nation. They've talked about breaking it up to make it a little bite-sizier because we have a lot of kids that are here. I think Boulder City has already said, hey, they will vote for it. And I believe that the new governor, our new governor, Joe Lombardo, is all behind this about breaking up the Clark County School District, because you know what, we're getting to be unwieldy. You can't wield it like we used to in the old days. In the old days, when we only had, when I was a kid, there was 160,000 people here. That was it. There were less than that. And so now in the metro area, there's like 2 million people. That's a lot of people. So, and so they're trying to navigate this now with this many people is problematic. So if approved, schools like Coronado, they believe, and Green Valley would rezone over 270 students. Yeah, Coronado, Green Valley, they said, but they're thinking maybe they'll grandfather some of them in. At one school over at Green Valley, I believe they have 2,500 students. Over at Coronado, 2,600. And, Green Valley has a capacity of 2,500 students. They're at 2,600. Coronado, 3,300. That's a lot of kids. A lot of overage there. We call that overage. So a lot of kids there at the school. And so they're saying, hey, maybe we'll, get some of these kids out of here. So here's a couple of things here. The reason why most of these kids go to those schools is not because they just happen to move into that neighborhood. They said, we want to be at that school. When we moved and put our kids in Palo Verde High School, and this was 2000, it was year 2000, so it's about 23 years ago. We moved there on purpose because we knew that was the best school in the valley at the time. Okay, we knew at the time Western High School was not, and besides that, I went to El Dorado High School. So having my kids go to Western High School was a non-starter. No, it wasn't going to happen. No. Matter of fact, I went there for a meeting for my son, his 9th grade year, and I was shaking, literally shaking, walking down the hallway because I'm from El Dorado High School. We don't go on Western High School's grounds. I had to take a class last Saturday over at Valley High School. The same thing. I was like, I know this sounds silly. I know it sounds silly, folks, but school pride and school, what do they call it? Allegiance goes deep when you're in a small town. So Rancho High School, don't like it. Okay, not because it's not a great school, because it's a great school. Okay, but I went to El Dorado High School. They were our arch rivals. So I'm getting off track here. Okay, so we'll have to get back to this. We'll come back to school rivalries. We'll come back to this because I'm not done with this yet. So they're saying about the school zoning, though, that some of the kids might be grandfathered in, like kids that are currently going to the school, 9th, 10th, 11th graders, they might be grandfathered in. Kids are already at the school, but new kids coming in will probably be rezoned. They'll probably send you to a different school. So you might want to check. You might want to check before you move into a neighborhood, and because you may not be going to that school. Yeah, you may not even go to that school. Okay. Homelessness. Let's take another break. Let's take a real quick break, folks. I'm sorry, we ran over in that segment, but we'll be back. Just a second, folks. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm your host, Sherman Ray. We'll be back. Just a second. Hi, everybody. It's Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast. Are you a business owner that's looking to get the word out about his product, service, or even just a great message out there? Well, we'd like to give you that opportunity by being a guest on Livin in Vegas podcast. It's super simple. All you've got to do is contact us at advertising@livininvegas.com. That's advertising@livininvegas.com, and we'll schedule you for an interview on Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, and we are back, folks. This is Sherman Ray. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast. I want to thank everybody for being a part of the show. This has been a really cool week. Got a lot of stuff done, and I'm looking really forward to this Friday. I really am, because Friday will be, I don't know, the day we'll talk about the game one that's tomorrow for the Vegas Golden Knights. And as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about them in just a second. And it's Rebel Red Friday. Oh yeah, Rebel Red Friday, where we start talking. We devote most of the show to the UNLV Running Rebels, and because we love them, They're doing such a great job. And as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about them right now. No, well, let's talk about them right now because we're running out of time. I was going to talk about the homeless situation in Las Vegas, but I think we all know that we got a lot of homeless people in Las Vegas, and if we can do anything to help get these folks off the streets, that's what we want to do. We really want to get as many people off the streets as we possibly can. I know there's some people that just like it. They want to be out there. But if we can develop resources and ways to help get these folks off the streets, that's what we're all about. And there's actually a volunteer. We're going to leave a link to, they're going to need about 600 volunteers to count the number of homeless people. We'll leave the link to that on our website. So you can actually, if you want to be a part of that, this is really important that we get an accurate count of how many people are on the road. There was a lot of people who ran for office who said, hey, we're going to do everything we can to get these homeless people off the streets. And it's BS. There's such BS. I'm so sad. And we're calling out these politicians who said that. And we're telling the people who said that we voted for you because you were going to do this. We're saying shame on you, too, because you need to hold these people accountable. They said they were going to do a certain thing. They didn't. Okay, we need to kick them out of office, and just because this is ridiculous. I know personally. I know I wasn't going to talk about this, but I was going to talk about the rebels. Okay, we'll hold the story about the rebels till Friday, but the rebels are doing great because I'm going over on the homeless thing. We had people who promised, oh, we have all the issues, we have all of the stories, and we have the answers to the homeless situation. And I know in the last 2 years, since 2019, actually 4 years, oh my gosh, it's been 4 years now, since 2019 when I ran for office, with a solution to the homeless situation, that the number of homeless people has gone up in the city of Las Vegas. Not just a little bit, folks, a lot. I mean, it's gone up a lot. And that was one of the number one issues that people were talking about. They were saying, hey, what are you going to do about the homeless situation? Oh, I got the answer to that. Yes, got the answer to it. And I said, okay, well, what's your answer? Oh, don't worry about it. I'll tell you after the election. And people bought it. They hook, line, and sinker. And now we need to hold these people accountable. So people have already been asking me, am I going to run for office? I don't think so. I haven't thought about it. But if I was, this would be the one thing I would definitely throw in their face. I would say, you said you were going to do this, this, and this. And this you didn't even touch. Another thing in Las Vegas area was the medical district. Oh yeah, the medical district's supposed to be like, woo-hoo, just humming. They just barely started breaking ground for it, 2 weeks ago? This was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, the medical district, that's the greatest thing and everything. Okay, I had some ideas on some things I was going to implement, and people just said, oh, dude, this other guy's promising, and he's promising, and he's promising, and he's promising. And I go, yeah, but I know how to do this stuff. I've been a business owner. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I develop products, and I launch them. That's what I do. The other guy went to college. Big deal. He went to college to learn how to BS you, is what happened. So, I know I'm being a little bit political here, but it is what it is. Anyways, we're done. We're done with the show, folks. I want to thank you once again for being a part of Livin Vegas podcast. If you would like to get on our mailing list, send us your contact information to info@livininvegas.com. That's info@livininvegas.com. Or if you would like to check out, get, more involved with the Livin in Vegas podcast, definitely Send us your information. We'd love to have you to be a part of it. I think we're going to see some growth here this year. Okay. So, anyways, this has been Sherman Wright for the Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. We'll see you again Friday for Rebel Red Friday. Bye-bye.